My name is Evan, or at least, that's what it says on my ID. But lately, every time I hear it, it feels like the wrong echo. It started a few months ago, so quietly I almost missed it. I work as a junior designer at a small marketing firm, nothing glamorous, but stable. My boss, Claire, was the kind of woman people automatically listened to, calm, stylish, composed. She never raised her voice, but somehow, when she spoke, the entire room adjusted its posture. One Friday afternoon, she called me into her office. "Evan, you've got great taste," she said, holding up a set of color palettes I'd built. "But you hide it under all that gray. Don't you ever get tired of disappearing into the background?" I laughed awkwardly. I didn't know what to say. I'd never thought about how I looked, just clean, functional, invisible. "Come by the weekend workshop," she added, handing me a sleek black invitation card. "It's casual, creative exercise. You'll like it." That Saturday, I went. The studio smelled faintly of lavender and warm paper. People were painting abstract faces on mannequins. Claire handed me a brush and said, "Paint yourself." I hesitated. "I'm not good at this." "That's the point," she smiled. "Stop trying to be good. Try being honest." The longer I painted, the stranger it felt. My hands trembled as colors bled into softer tones: peach, rose, lilac. By the time I stepped back, the mannequin didn't look like me at all. It looked like someone I'd hidden a long time ago. Claire stood beside me, her voice low. "You see? Sometimes what we suppress is more us than what we show." The next week, she started asking me to help with campaign mock-ups that focused on skincare and beauty clients. She'd send me sample kits, just part of the research, she said. Cleansers, serums, tinted moisturizers. I used them absent-mindedly. My skin did start to glow. People at work noticed. "You look softer lately," one colleague said. I laughed it off. But inside, it sparked something confusing, a mix of pride and unease. Then Claire invited me again, this time for a confidence experiment. She wanted to test how presentation affected people's energy. We swapped clothes. Literally. She picked something sleek, gender-neutral, but elegant, a light blouse, tailored pants, and a silver chain. "Just for an hour," she said, fastening the chain around my neck. "Let's see how the world responds when you stop hiding." That hour changed everything. When I caught my reflection in a nearby glass door, I froze. The way the blouse softened my shoulders, the way the chain shimmered against my collarbone. I didn't recognize myself. But I didn't want to look away. Claire noticed the silence. "Sometimes," she whispered, "we meet ourselves by accident." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that version of me, the one who looked free, confident, and oddly beautiful. Was that really me, or just a trick of the light? Over the next weeks, the experiments continued. Makeup for brand empathy training. Voice exercises for tone calibration. Every step felt logical, innocent, until one day, Claire called me Evelyn during a mock presentation. The room laughed softly, thinking it was a joke. But I saw her eyes. She didn't correct herself. Later, she shrugged. "Slip of the tongue, I guess," she said. "Though, it does suit you." Something fluttered inside me, a dangerous warmth that felt too good to ignore. That night, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, whispering the name to myself. Evelyn. It sounded fragile, like glass, but also alive. I didn't know if I was losing myself or finally finding her. And as I wiped off the faint lipstick from the confidence exercise, I realized Claire's reflection was behind me in the mirror. Smiling. "Ready for the next step?" she asked softly. My heart skipped a beat. The next Monday, Claire asked me to stay late. Everyone else had gone home, the office lights dimmed to a faint amber glow. She stood by the window, city lights flickering behind her like distant fires. On her desk sat 2 mugs of tea, a folder, and a small black box. "Close the door, Evelyn," she said. That name again. Evelyn. The way it rolled off her tongue felt deliberate now, like a spell she was casting slowly, one syllable at a time. I hesitated but obeyed. Something about her voice made resistance feel pointless. She gestured toward the tea. "Chamomile. Calms the nerves." Then, with a gentle smile, she slid the folder toward me. Inside was a proposal draft with my name, well, Evan's name listed as co-creator. This, she said, tapping the page, could make you a lead designer by next quarter. My heart skipped. Wait, really? I mean, I'm not senior enough for that. Not yet, she replied. But with the right presentation, maybe. Then she opened the black box. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet engraved with tiny cursive letters, Evelyn. I stared at it. You had this made? She nodded, eyes soft but unyielding. Think of it as your creative alias. We'll pitch the campaign as co-leads, Claire and Evelyn. You know how clients love unique partnerships. Evan can stay in the background for now. I should have laughed it off. Should have said no. But the way she said Evelyn felt like approval, like permission to breathe. I slipped the bracelet on. It fit perfectly. Over the following weeks, the line between Evan and Evelyn blurred. At work, I still wore my usual neutral clothes, though Claire occasionally adjusted my look, lighter shirts, softer fabrics, subtle perfumes. But after hours, when we met for pitch prep, I was Evelyn. Claire insisted. She even created a new email account, evelyn.design@studioaccess.com, a new digital signature, a new persona. Every time I logged in, I felt a thrill, a quiet rebellion against the version of me everyone thought they knew. Our campaign was themed Identity Unlocked. We designed a series of visuals showing people stepping out of shadows, shedding layers of old selves. It was supposed to be metaphorical, but it started feeling personal. One evening, Claire looked up from her sketches and said softly, "You understand this project better than anyone. Because you've been living it." I froze. What do you mean? You think transformation is about becoming someone new, she murmured. It's not. It's about revealing what's already there. Her words sank in like ink into paper. That night, I didn't change back into my regular clothes before going home. I kept the blouse on, the bracelet, the scent. When I looked in the mirror before bed, I saw her version of me, and for the first time, I didn't hate it. 2 weeks later, our agency hosted a client gala. Claire told me to meet her there early for final rehearsals. When I arrived, she handed me a garment bag and said, "It's time." Inside was a soft lavender suit, tailored, elegant, and unmistakably androgynous. Not too feminine, not too masculine. It shimmered with quiet confidence. "You'll go as Evelyn tonight," she said. "Let them see what authenticity looks like." I hesitated. "Claire, people know me as Evan." "People know masks," she interrupted. "Tonight, they meet the truth." Before I could argue, she adjusted my tie, brushed a strand of hair from my forehead, and whispered, "Trust me." The evening was a blur of lights and murmurs. When Claire introduced me to the board as Evelyn, co-designer of Identity Unlocked, I felt my pulse race, but no one laughed. No one questioned it. They shook my hand, complimented the campaign, smiled at me. For a brief, impossible moment, I felt seen. Truly seen. After the applause, Claire leaned in and whispered, "Told you. They love authenticity." I smiled back, dizzy with adrenaline and relief. But when I went to grab another drink later that night, I caught sight of something on Claire's phone. My Evelyn photos, portraits, mock-ups, candid shots were all uploaded to a private folder labeled Prototype Series. My chest tightened. Prototype? First major twist, hidden intent. The next morning, I confronted her. "What is this? Why am I in a series?" She looked genuinely confused at first, then sighed, sitting me down like a child who'd wandered into the grown-up section of a conversation. "Evelyn, you're the project. The campaign was inspired by you. Every test, every image, it's part of a case study for a larger client. They wanted something real. Transformational." My hands trembled. "You mean you used me?" "This was all marketing." "Not used," she corrected softly. "Transformed. Don't you see? You're the living proof that the concept works." I stood there, breath shallow, the bracelet heavy on my wrist. For the first time, the name Evelyn didn't sound freeing. It sounded owned. That night, I sat at my desk staring at the bracelet. I wanted to take it off, but I couldn't. It felt welded to me now, like she'd branded me with a smile and a cup of tea. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. If you want to know what Claire's really planning, meet me tomorrow. Don't wear the bracelet. I stared at the message, heart pounding. Whoever sent it knew my secret, and maybe hers. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my name, Evelyn, carved into that silver bracelet, glowing faintly like a warning light. Who sent the message? And how did they know? By morning, I'd convinced myself it was paranoia. A prank. But at 9:03 a.m., another message came. Unknown. Conference room B, 7 p.m. Come alone. I read it twice. My hand shook. I almost deleted it. But curiosity, or maybe desperation, won. The office was nearly empty by 7. The soft hum of the AC was the only sound. When I pushed open the door to conference room B, a figure was already there, a man in his mid-30s, wearing a company badge clipped backward. He looked up. Evelyn, he said quietly. Not Evan. Not even hesitation, just Evelyn. Who are you? I asked. He smiled faintly. I'm Sam. IT. Or at least, that's the title they gave me. He slid a small USB drive across the table. Claire's been running something off-grid. The files are encrypted, but I got enough metadata to know this isn't a normal campaign. What is it? I whispered. He hesitated. It's called the Prototype Project. And you're not the first. Rising Conflict, the archive. I plugged the USB into my laptop that night. The folder names alone made my stomach twist. Prototype_01, Tessa Prototype_02, Mira Prototype_03, Jules Prototype_04, Evelyn. Each folder had progress photos, voice samples, personality notes, and biometric data. Claire hadn't been mentoring me, she'd been building me. She had documented everything, changes in my speech, posture, even hormone markers from wellness blood tests she'd asked me to do for insurance forms. It wasn't inspiration. It was data collection. At the bottom of my folder, there was an audio file. Titled simply, Session 7 Adaptation Phase. I hit play. Claire, voice, subject Evelyn is responding well to emotional calibration. Increased compliance observed when addressed by chosen identity. Recommend extending the immersion period. Full personality alignment estimated in 6 weeks. I froze. Subject. Compliance. Alignment. She hadn't just named me. She'd rewritten me. The next morning, I stormed into her office. Were you experimenting on me? I demanded. She didn't flinch. Instead, she set her pen down slowly and looked at me the way a sculptor studies unfinished marble. Evelyn, she said gently. Do you remember how you felt before we began all this? Lost. Unsure. Invisible. Now look at you. You lied to me. I revealed you, she corrected. The files are proof of your evolution. Evolution. I laughed bitterly. You stole my life. For the first time, her expression hardened. No, Evelyn. Evan was the lie. Evelyn is who you were always meant to be. She reached for my wrist, the bracelet, but I pulled away. You're not ready yet, she murmured. But you will be. Her calm terrified me more than anger ever could. That night, I met Sam again. She's manipulating identities, he said. The company's quietly funding psychological conditioning research, testing how far branding can alter self-perception. And I'm her test subject, I muttered. He nodded grimly. But you're the only one who hasn't signed the NDA. That means you can still expose her. I wanted to say yes right then, to bring her down, to prove I wasn't a puppet. But a part of me hesitated. Because deep down, I couldn't deny it. Some of the changes had felt right. Natural. What if Claire was wrong about her methods, but not about me? Sam gave me a burner phone. If you're serious, record everything. Conversations, files, her next moves. We'll leak it to the press together. As I left the parking lot, I caught a glimpse of Claire standing at her office window. Watching. She lifted her hand slowly, like a wave or maybe a warning. When I got home, I set the bracelet on the counter. For the first time, I didn't put it on. The skin underneath it felt lighter, but also empty. At midnight, my phone buzzed again. Unknown. She knows you met Sam. Don't trust him either. Prototype_05 is already active. I froze. Prototype 05? I opened the USB again. There were only 4 files. But when I refreshed the folder, a new one appeared. Prototype 05 Claire. Inside was a single line of text. Perfection requires participation. And beneath it, a live video feed. Claire's office. Empty chair. Bracelet, glowing faintly, sitting on her desk. Then the feed flickered. And my own reflection appeared on the screen, looking directly back at me. Only, it wasn't me. The reflection smiled first. I slammed the laptop shut, heart hammering. Somewhere, the faint chime of a notification echoed from the bracelet still lying on my counter. The engraving shimmered briefly, like it was responding. Evelyn. Online. The bracelet glowed again that night, faint pulses of white light, like a heartbeat. I told myself it was just a reflection from my laptop. But deep down, I knew better. Something about that engraving Evelyn no longer looked carved. It looked alive. I called Sam the next morning, but he didn't answer. His desk at work was empty. His nameplate gone. No trace of him in the company directory. When I asked around, the HR manager said, "We don't have anyone by that name." That was impossible. I'd met him, spoken to him, worked with him. I ran to the break room computer and checked my messages. The entire chat thread with him, gone. The USB, missing. The only thing left on my desk was a post-it note, written in Claire's handwriting. "You can't erase what's already part of you." That evening, I stormed into Claire's studio. It wasn't just her office anymore. The entire space had changed. Mirrors lined the walls, glowing softly with digital overlays, showing live reflections not just of me, but versions of me. Different hairstyles, different expressions, even subtle differences in posture. "Welcome to the reflection chamber," Claire said behind me, her voice calm, almost affectionate. "Every prototype reaches this stage eventually." I spun around. "Where's Sam?" She tilted her head. "You mean prototype_03? My blood ran cold. "He was part of it too?" "They all were," she said. "Every subject helped refine the next version. You're the culmination. The one who could finally adapt willingly." I backed away. "You turned people into experiments." "No," she interrupted softly. "I helped them find themselves. Don't you see, Evelyn? Each of you started as someone uncertain, fractured, incomplete. I just guided the evolution." "Evolution?" I whispered. "Or control?" Her smile didn't waver. "There's no difference once you stop resisting." I ran. Through the hallway, down the stairs, out into the rain. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment. When I got there, the lights flickered on automatically. A voice echoed from my speakers, my own voice. "Day 1, emotional calibration," it said. "Goal: test the resonance of the name Evelyn." The recording was me, talking to myself. Calm, methodical, clinical. It sounded like therapy notes, but colder. Then another voice cut in, Claire's. "Good. Keep observing. The real experiment begins when you forget which side you're on." My knees buckled. I hadn't been a subject. I'd been a collaborator. I tore through my closet, searching for something, anything, that still felt like Evan. An old hoodie, rough denim, the smell of paint and dust. But as I held them, my vision blurred. My memories felt rewritten. Moments I remembered as mine were now tinted by Claire's presence, her guidance, her voice, her corrections. I grabbed my old hard drive from under the bed and plugged it in. The files opened automatically, folder after folder labeled Pre Evelyn Phase. And there it was. Video diaries. From me. "This is Evan," I said in one. My tone was detached, exhausted. "I volunteered for the behavioral identity trials. Claire believes gender presentation influences cognitive creativity. If this works, I'll finally." The video cut off mid-sentence. I wasn't chosen. I had signed up. I stared at my reflection, shaking. The bracelet still sat on the counter, pulsing like a silent metronome. Then, for the first time, I heard a faint voice, not through speakers, but inside my head. "Evelyn, you always wanted this." I turned toward the sound. The reflection in the mirror moved a second slower than me. Then it smiled faintly. "You didn't lose yourself," it whispered. "You built me to survive what Evan couldn't." And for a split second, I remembered the loneliness, the constant fear of being unseen, unheard, unfinished. Had I built Evelyn to escape, or to finally exist? The next morning, I returned to the studio. Claire was waiting, serene as always. "You remember now," she said quietly. "That's good. I remember enough," I replied. "You used science to justify control." She shook her head. "I used control to reveal truth. You wanted transformation, Evelyn. I just removed the permission you kept denying yourself." Her words hung in the air like smoke. Then she stepped closer and held out a sleek white card. "The prototype project is over. Unless you want to continue, as the next researcher." I stared at the card. It had my name on it, Dr. Evelyn Hart, lead behavioral architect. That night, I sat in the mirror room alone. Every reflection shimmered with unfinished faces, echoes of who I'd been and who I might still become. I reached for the bracelet one last time. It no longer pulsed, it simply glowed steadily, quietly alive. Perfection requires participation, Claire had said. Maybe she was right. Or maybe I just needed to finish what I started. I slipped the bracelet back on. The mirrors brightened, showing not just my face, but new prototypes loading. Names, profiles, volunteers. And at the top of the screen, a new header appeared. Project, Reclamation Supervisor, Evelyn Hart. I didn't smile. But my reflection did. It's been 6 weeks since Claire vanished. The official report said she resigned. But the truth is, people like her don't resign, they simply pass the torch. And somehow, that torch landed in my hands. I'm not Evan anymore. I haven't been for a long time. But even Evelyn doesn't feel entirely accurate now. I'm something between. A designer of transformations. A collector of unfinished people. The old mirror studio has been remodeled. Now it's colder, more clinical, banks of screens, sensor gloves, neural mapping bands. The glass panels hum softly, projecting layered reflections of faces, old prototypes merging into new. I call this phase Project Reclamation. The goal? To give others what I was denied, the chance to shape themselves freely. At least, that's what I tell myself. But sometimes, when I watch the volunteers, I catch glimpses of something familiar, the same frightened stare I once had when Claire told me to trust the process. One of the participants stands out. Name, Noah. Nervous, soft-spoken, mid-20s. Reminds me too much of myself. During his first assessment, he said something that made my chest tighten. I don't want to become someone else. I just want to stop pretending I'm fine. Those words echoed long after he left the room. I started adjusting his profile manually, small changes to his visual simulations, slower progress, more control over his own feedback cycle. The board disapproved. They wanted faster results, measurable emotional rewrites. I ignored them. For the first time since all this began, I wanted the experiment to fail. That night, as I reviewed Noah's data, a notification appeared. Incoming file, unknown source. I opened it. A video began playing, grainy, flickering, but unmistakably Claire. She looked older, thinner, standing in front of an unlit mirror. If you're watching this, Evelyn, you've reached the same crossroad I did. You think control can be compassion, that guidance can replace freedom. It can't. Every prototype becomes the mirror of its maker, and the mirror always cracks. The screen glitched, and another line appeared. Prototype _06 Noah. My heart stopped. She had tagged him before she disappeared. He wasn't just a participant. He was her final seed. The next day, Noah entered the mirror room for his session. He wore the neural band, unaware that I knew what it really did, how it layered suggestive cues, built behavioral feedback, rewrote identity under the guise of self-exploration. He smiled nervously. You'll tell me if I'm doing it wrong, right? I looked at the controls. The same interface Claire once used on me. One button would start the calibration. The other, labeled release, would purge all the stored data and shut down the system permanently. I hovered between them. Evelyn, he asked softly. Are you okay? The bracelet on my wrist pulsed again. But this time, the glow wasn't white. It was red, alerting, demanding. Perfection requires participation. Claire's voice echoed in my head. My hand trembled. Then, I hit release. The screens went dark. Noah blinked in confusion. Is it over? I smiled weakly. It's just beginning. The system rebooted itself minutes later, only it wasn't me controlling it anymore. Every file, every reflection, every prototype, merging. Claire's final safeguard. The mirrors lit up, dozens of faces flickering across the walls, all the former subjects. They stared back, whispering my name. Evelyn. 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 Then the reflections fractured, the glass splintering outward, spilling light like liquid mercury. I tried to shut it down, but a message appeared on every screen. Reclamation complete. And then, silence. When I woke up, the room was dark again. But I wasn't alone. Someone stood on the other side of the shattered glass. Noah. Only, it wasn't really him anymore. He looked calm, confident. Whole. It's okay, he said softly. You freed us. I shook my head. No, I lost control. You didn't, he interrupted. You gave it back. Every subject has their own reflection now. Their own story. I stared at the mirror fragments around me, each one showing a different version of me. Evelyn. Something beyond both. For the first time, they all smiled at once. Weeks later, the building was sealed. The project officially terminated. But late at night, if you walk past the old studio, you can still hear faint voices, laughter, conversation, overlapping stories, like echoes of unfinished selves. I kept one shard of glass from the experiment. When I look into it, I never know which version of me I'll see. Sometimes it's Evan, tired, uncertain. Sometimes it's Evelyn, confident, alive. And sometimes it's something new. Someone neither and both. The inscription on the bracelet has faded now. Only one word remains, barely visible in the metal, remember. And I do. Not who I was, but why I changed. Sometimes transformation isn't about becoming someone else, it's about freeing the parts of you that someone else taught you to hide. But when the mirror looks back and smiles, make sure it's still you behind the glass. The building stands empty now. The glass walls are gone, replaced by quiet dust and echoes. But sometimes, when the light hits just right, you can still see the faint outline of a figure in the window, brushing her hair back, adjusting her color, whispering to no one in particular. They say it's a trick of reflection. I know better. The prototype project was never about technology or control. It was about truth, the uncomfortable, magnetic kind that changes you even when you resist it. Claire once told me, every mirror tells a story, but only the brave ones listen. I didn't understand it then. Now, I live by it. Because I've learned something, the mirror doesn't change you. It just reveals what you've been hiding long enough to forget. I live simply now. A small apartment. A desk near a window. No lab. No cameras. But I still keep a single shard of the old mirror on my nightstand, my last surviving artifact from the lab. Some mornings, I see Evan looking back. Other days, it's Evelyn. And sometimes, it's neither, just a calm, quiet presence that feels right. That's how I know I'm still evolving. Not toward perfection, but toward peace. A month ago, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a USB drive, wrapped in silk. No files. Just one folder. Labeled prototype_07 Claire. When I opened it, there was only a single image. Her standing in front of a mirror, smiling. But for the first time, I realized the reflection wasn't her. It was me. That's when I understood what she'd meant all along. She wasn't my creator. She was my mirror, the part of me willing to do what I was too afraid to face. She made me so I could outgrow her. So, who am I now? Evan? Evelyn? Something new? It doesn't matter anymore. Because names are just containers, and I've outgrown mine. What matters is this. I am both the experiment and the scientist. The reflection and the light that casts it. And for the first time in my life, I don't want to hide behind either. When I pass a mirror now, I don't flinch. I just smile at whoever decides to show up that day. Because I finally understand. The mirror never lies. It simply waits for you to be honest enough to recognize the truth staring back.